Biology, chemistry, and physics are essentially all the same science with different zoom settings. Let's not forget the time Captain Jack Sparrow broke the laws of physics. Vegan scientists mixing 27 carcinogenic chemicals in an attempt to make a soybean taste like a hamburger. When an engineer goes to medical school, liquid exists on Mars, boosting hopes for life out there. Run, Mars, run! Save yourself! Humans didn't invent agriculture. Humans were domesticated by wheat. No, this doesn't make any sense. Bacteria in 1928. Oh no way, penicillin! Bacteria now. Is it doxycycline? Pathetic. What people think when they hear antimatter versus what antimatter is actually used for. I turned this in for my environmental science class, and my professor said I have a 4th grader's understanding of the carbon cycle. Eats grass, carbon goes in the atmosphere. Earth pulls me down. I attract Earth, the law of attraction. When the designer understands quantum physics, how I imagined 2025 as a kid, how it turned out, the Earth is round? Sauce. The incredible truth about what we eat. 400 calories of oil, chicken, vegetables, owls, swords, existential horror. The Milky Way with Earth, the Milky Way without Earth. The universe doesn't care. The downgrade is insane. When they finally crack nuclear fusion, how will they convert that energy into electricity? Don't tell me it's just gonna be boiling water again. It's gonna be boiling water again. Physicists build a black hole bomb in the lab, a stamp that makes perfectly drawn benzene rings. Chemistry students. Aquatic organisms, when there's a lot of phosphorus and nitrogen in the water. England gave calculus. Germany gave theory of relativity. Croatia gave AC current. What did your country give? A nanobot helping a sperm with motility issues towards an egg. These metal helixes are so small they can completely wrap around the tail of a single sperm and assist it along its journey. Pretty sure the last thing this world needs is people from dumber sperm. Classic Reddit find. Blood acquires its red color from fibrin, hemoglobin. Pretty sure it's communism, yeah. Human nature, summed up in one picture. Do not climb and play on and around the pipe. People are asking why the Titanic didn't implode as it sank. It wasn't so much pressure in the ocean back then. Life was easier. Best answer so far. People share 50 to 60% of the DNA as a banana. That means some of you are 10% more banana than other people. You know who you are. When she knows nothing about physics. It's really self-explanatory. Mitochondria. Definitely chondria. Damn, it's low-key hot on Friday. Man, it ain't that hot. Wear some sun cream. A sword made from the blood of your enemies is technically possible. If you separate the iron out of the blood of 300 adults, you could smelt it down to an iron ingot. This ingot would be enough to create a longsword. So you're telling me I can harvest humans for iron? Let's do a meet and greet, everyone. Do not run with CRISPR-Cas molecular scissors. You might cut your DNA. Physics textbooks. Assume that a penguin is a circular cylinder. Physics students. The fact that there are imaginary numbers in mathematics is proof that humans create their own problems then cry. And then we solve them. Creating our own problems and solving them. The last image before the Mars rover went offline. C.zip. When I lower the temperature to absolute zero. Come on, solidify. How they really made the periodic table. The Tetris table. Welcome to organic chemistry, where questions like, where do you keep your chloroform, are no longer suspicious. Sir, not there. Why? Sit here. Oh, okay. Science books. Then you can claim you are Isaac Newton. I knew space was fake. Stuff you know. Stuff you don't know. Stuff you don't know you don't know. Squid evolves ability to squirt ink to avoid being caught. Humans. Catches squid for their ink. Squid. Hi, can I buy you a drink? Sure. She's not interested. The ring she wants. The rings I want. The rings I can afford. Nunchucks are illegal in some states, but guns are not. So, if you tie two guns together and create gunchucks, it's neither legal or illegal. Schrodinger's gunchucks. Why does Schrodinger have so many things? Schrodinger's holding problem. Everyone. Gives trees credit for oxygen. Zooplankton, who generate 70% of all oxygen. A circle. In the Triangle Factory, the entire internet has the weight of several strawberries. How physics was invented. How aerodynamics was invented. If you mess up a social experiment, you can say, failed experiment, and move on. Cannot stress enough that you say this in your head. If we stretched our bodies out as long as our intestines, and did the same thing to a horse, which one would be longer? I don't know. Observer. Every other possible quantum state. Observed quantum state. Chemical elements, US states. This information is so satisfying, but what do I do with it? When nature itself gives us such good packaging, then what is the need to wrap it in plastic? Scientist. My discoveries are useless if taken out of context. Media. Scientists claim that discoveries are useless. Could you briefly explain human evolution for me? Wait, who decided that skeletons are scary? Because I reckon I would be absolutely terrified if the nervous system came at me. And the skeleton's right next to the nervous system. E equals mc squared. Energy equals milk times coffee. Calm down, Einstein. Number of Miss Universe titles 1. Earth, 74. Rest of the universe, 0. Expectation of nuclear energy. Now we begin with quantum entanglement in the nanotechnology facility to generate electricity. Reality. Me and bro laughing after accidentally breaking a $500 micro pipette. Laughing? I'd be terrified. I'd be thinking, what the hell do I do now? Oxygen. I help sustain life. Uranium. I help produce clean energy. Copper. I am a very good conductor. Gold. I'm so shiny. Loki getting a tan. Unicorn. Heavy assault unicorn. High-speed submersible unicorn. General chemistry students. The hydrogen atom is simple, isn't it? Physics major. Shout out to the person who thought, how can I illustrate an elderly deer? And came up with this. How chemical reactions occur. Something adds or removes hydrogen. Something transfers electrons. Magic. What do you call an acid with an attitude? Studying physics. Almost done, almost, oh yeah, oh god. Doctors, you could eat that. Don't eat a burger though. If it squirms, it's biology. If it stinks, it's chemistry. If it doesn't work, it's physics. And if you can't understand, it's mathematics. Optimist. Pessimist. Realist. Physicist. Surrealist. Relativist. Utopist. Skepticist, artist. Humpback whale population bounces back from near extinction. From just 450 to over 25,000. I'm filling out a medical form online and I'm curious who's out there speaking Old English. Okay, potassium. Modern physics. Look inside. Over 100 years, physics theories. What idiot called it a randomized clinical trial controlled with placebo, and not trick or treatment, since peanuts are shaped like chromosomes. Here is a mitotic peanut cake. If we wait long enough, there will be 2 cakes. Me. Takes public transport to reduce my carbon footprint. Taylor Swift. Fold the paper, Bart. Nuclear energy, but really it's just boiling water. Did you know if you touch your uvula, you can taste every food you've eaten for the past 12 hours? No you can't. Looks like versus feels like. Look guys, I invented the concept of zero. Nice, we can calculate the number of girlfriends you have. Nerd. I had an evaluation with my therapist and this was my diagnosis. Diagnosis, you're on a low income. Ouch. Weather, cloudy with off and on birds. Scientists have been trying to tell us for decades that these things are everywhere, yet I've never seen one with my own 2 eyes. Wake up before it's too late. Chemistry, oh chemistry. Bad life syndrome is a phrase used by physicians in the United Kingdom and the United States for the effect that a variety of poverty or abuse-induced disorders can have on patients. Just finish the gingerbread cookies. Nobody wants to eat them and the kids won't stop screaming. Snowman watching the skies. Biology. The study of animals. Physics. Study of laws of the universe. Chemistry. Let's just mix a bunch of things together and see what happens. How are we ever going to evolve if you keep pushing us back into the ocean? Betelgeuse exists. Astronomers, let it die. Eggplant made by an artist. Eggplant made by AI. You're so weak. Gravity. Nothing can beat me, the weak force. Electromagnetic, the strong force. When the science teacher is talking about the 3 forms of matter and you mention plasma, look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power. At this point, if I get abducted by aliens, it's no longer considered an abduction. It's a rescue mission. This would have done numbers on Facebook, I know it. If you were wondering how far a bag of chips bought in Indiana could be driven up Pikes Peak in Colorado before it pops, the answer is 8 miles past the entrance. Message in a bottle, 21st century version. Professors who have only interacted with other academics for years. What do you mean you don't know multivariable calculus yet? Professors with small kids. Thank you for not putting the lab equipment in your mouths when I turn my back. Making a protracted exit. Human DNA contains all the necessary genes to produce feathers. It's merely a matter of selective activation. To your genes right now. You used to call me on my cell phone. 25 million years ago, land reptiles returned to the sea and they became like this. 50 million years ago, other land animals went, my people need me, back into the sea and they became like this. Oil, water, black wallet found. You can contact me by solving this equation. Your birthday, my phone number. On Monday, I will deliver it to the police station. When organisms don't like the rules, they protest. Oops, I spilled water all over my homework. I finished my Tesla coil. Cool, but check this this out. How did you do that? The world doesn't actually make sense. Science doesn't work. No one told you because you're so cute when you get into something. Still, neat toy. Now you're hovering. I guess you're still not getting this. If these 4 geniuses were in a research group with $1 billion in funding, what kind of stuff would they do? They'd probably become the most powerful men. Why is arm anatomy so hard for you, Jesse? Look at what arms do. Supination, pronation. The whale shark is the biggest fish in the world, I believe. Not a shark. It's the largest fish and also the largest shark. Sharks are fish. Sharks are 100% not fish. Sharks are aquatic mammals. Fish lay eggs, shark birth live offspring. Eratosthenes correctly estimates Earth's circumference 2,200 years ago using shadows and sticks. Him, hearing about flat earthers in the 21st century. Many people don't realize just how big a whale can be. Why does the Earth spin? What happens if you throw sand into a jet engine? I am this old. It's now safe to turn off your computer. I am a ton of particles. I'm a wave. I am light. We have to go back in time and destroy AI at its source. A propeller is just a big fan in front of the plane to keep the pilot cool. When it stops, you can actually see the pilot start sweating. World's most accurate pie chart. Pie I have eaten. Pie I have not eaten yet. When your friend is afraid of the dark and is also afraid of radiation. I am sun, the giver of life, source of infinite power. Okay, try this. Viruses versus humanity in space. Things I learned on organic chemistry. Interesting reactions. Nomenclature. I did not learn that. Deadly compounds. How to draw hexagons. The cake versus pie debate has been mathematically settled. Eating too much cake is the sin of gluttony. However, eating too much pie is okay, because the sin of pie is always 0. What I see. Outlier. General trend. What science denialists and conspiracy speculationists see. Everything's a conspiracy, everyone's against you. Trust no one. Venus flytraps can live on sunlight and soil nutrients alone, but every morning they wake up and choose violence. The iPhone 17 is out. YouTube is in 2 days. Why do you bark at nothing? My dog? Do I bark at nothing? Or is there nothing because I bark? My fossils bring all the boys to the yard and they're like, you still can't join the Geological Society of London. Being dead, being alive. Xmas tree, Ymas tree, Zmas tree. I just learned that if a hermit crab finds a new shell that is too big, it will wait for other hermit crabs who need new shells together, and they will organize themselves by size and trade shells. I'm annoyed that the crabs have a better housing market than we do. Element 118 is predicted to be a solid at room temperature, but it's a noble gas. Science, natural philosophy. Why unicorns fart rainbows, a scientific explanation. Prism, optical fiber, rainbow. Meanwhile, in a parallel universe. H2O is water, H2O, yeah, it's water. Newton just created a 4th law. What is it? Put a little hot sauce on that bad boy. Why don't they just fly the plane straight? Calories in 1 pistachio. 4. Calories burned opening 1 pistachio. 2,479. It's pretty awful how baseline human activities like singing, dancing, and making art got turned into skills instead of being seen as behaviors. So now it's like, the point of doing them is to get good at them, and not, this is a thing humans do. The way birds sing and bees make hives. You're dumber than me. Duh, obviously. I'm your AI, built to match your level. If you were a genius, I'd be Einstein. But since you're, well, here we are. What do you mean you're supposed to be as smart as me? You're supposed to be way smarter. Discovering a new species as a biologist, wildlife photographer, scuba diver, epidemiologist, chef, astronaut, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, apocalypse. Being a fossil would be so relaxing. I would love to be a preserved corpse for hundreds of millions of years until I am gently unearthed by a bunch of nerds who are so excited to see me and be my friend. This isn't a painting. It is the most detailed image of a human cell to date, obtained by radiography, nuclear magnetic resonance, and cryo-electronic microscopy. As if chemistry wasn't confusing enough, now we've got Poseidon cursing our equations. Math, chemistry, physics, genetics, zoology, literally everything else. Biology, medicine. Mathematicians coming up with imaginary numbers instead of admitting they were wrong. The only realistic problem in my calculus book. Is he going fishing? Last night, I had a dream that there was a storm on my way home, and near my house, the clouds looked like the surface of Jupiter. These are quickly photoshopped images, but they're pretty close to what I remembered. I know this would kill everyone, but can our sky be like this all the time? What does a microscopic cow say? Then the 92nd little pig built a house out of depleted uranium, and the wolf was like, dude. So the wolf pulled out his particle accelerator, termed up the thermal neutron energy, and promptly fissioned the house down. The pig was reduced to his component atoms in a rapidly expanding cloud of ionized plasma. The jug is half full. Empty? Half empty? 60.69% of the jug is filled with water and 39.31% with air. Don't say you love anime if you haven't read the manga. No one. Quantum physicists. Chlorine taking sodium's only valence electron. Me, seeing my physics homework like, what the hell? So when I was getting dressed today, I very quickly put on a lab coat and some ears, not even trying to have something coherent, just wanting to have some kind of costume. Then I used some eyeliner to draw some whiskers on my face. So yeah, that's my costume. Cat in a lab coat. Does it make sense? No, who cares? Still wearing the same skirt and striped knee-high socks from yesterday, but that's just my work clothes. But then when I got to my office in the physics department, one of my colleagues immediately said, "Oh, Schrodinger's cat girl. You're Hyoyin Kyoma's apprentice." The town of Viginella, Italy, goes without sunlight for 83 days every year because it sits in the shadow of tall mountains. So they came up with a wild solution. They built a giant computer-controlled mirror to bounce the sun's rays into the town and brighten up winter. Black hole, literally anything. Hawking radiation. I was having trouble deciding whether my sponsor today would be brilliant or audible. So I devised a solution. What I have here is a cat, my cesium from Russia, and a clock to see if the cat is dead or alive in 1 hour. And if dead, audible. And if it's alive, brilliant. I think that's pretty cool. If you identify a UFO as a UFO, then it becomes an FO. Unless it has landed, then it is simply an O. One time I took a physics exam, and on every problem, I had some epiphany with a satisfying payoff. So at the end of the exam, I wrote, "Great exam, huge everyone." And it turned out that I got every problem so horribly wrong that they couldn't even give me any partial credit. A category 6 would be a tornado. Nope, those are different storms with different processes. Though hurricanes can produce tornadoes, it doesn't affect the overall categorical rating. Yes, it would be a tornado. Anything above category 5 would be a tornado. I want to see a tornado in person. God damn. When you're a marine biologist celebrating Halloween, the Windows 10 desktop background was actually a real photograph, not a computer-generated image. Ancient mathematicians, Renaissance mathematicians, 19th century mathematicians, modern mathematicians. What type of mathematician? I'm no mathematician. I hated maths. Hello, my name is Jobby. Do you guys know what a jobby means in Scotland? You don't want to know, guys. It means a poop. I have a PhD in physics, and I work for NASA, and I just had to look up the equation for the volume of a sphere.